Good morning. It is what time? It is 6:51 a.m. Here in South Korea on Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019. I am Christiana Ellis, and I've been up for a little while because I've been troubleshooting cell phone issues. Also, just, time zone adjustment. I managed to stay up pretty much all day yesterday, which was by design, and then went to bed at a reasonable bedtime hour here. And I woke up a little bit early, but doing all right. Doing all right. Oh, hey, Nibilis. But one of the things that had been giving me a little bit of anxiety since arriving yesterday was that my cell phone wasn't receiving any kind of a network signal. What I assumed was supposed to happen is that my phone would automatically switch to international roaming, but for whatever reason that didn't happen, and it wasn't receiving any kind of a signal at all. So I had to deal with tech support a little bit for that. I called, and for whatever reason too, even when I tried to go in digitally to look at like what my plan was offering to see if international roaming was turned on, I was getting error messages, and it was, I'm still able to do whatever I needed to do on Wi-Fi, but I wanted it to work, right? So I was a little confused. Tried calling and getting it on. So I don't need to take you through the whole ins and outs, but the short answer is that it's working now, which is great. And now that it's working, I plan to not use it very much because, of course, it's expensive. Like, even when you get the packaged plan, best to avoid going too much on the cell signal when international. But so with that taken care of, I feel like that's actually the last little piece of stuff that felt like it wasn't right yet for me being back here. So I'm glad to have that resolved. And so today will be the first day going back, into the office, and we'll start, getting back to work. And it'll actually be the first time in a couple of months now that I'll be, back into the standard office hours, daily work routine. So that'll be a little bit of a readjustment too. Although, really, it's it's, when you've done something for, almost 20 years, you don't need to. It doesn't necessarily take that much do something for 20 years and then stop for 2 months. Does it really take that much adjustment to get back into it? No, not really. But so in any event, I'm back in the same hotel. As Joan Fan commented on yesterday's video, I now have 2 pictures of Marilyn Monroe on the wall behind me. Last time I stayed here, it was 1 picture of Marilyn Monroe and 1 picture of Audrey Hepburn. So what secret code is meant to be conveyed by having 2 pictures of Marilyn Monroe instead of 1 of Monroe and 1 of Hepburn? Hard to say. My speculation is partly just that this is probably the art they have in the Western style hotel rooms, as opposed to the I don't know. I don't actually know if they call it Eastern style or traditional style. I'm not sure what they call the other rooms, but because it is Western style, that might be part of what's going on. But I suspect also that, when hotels are buying art, they buy it in bulk, and it's, cheap. But probably also the idea of Hepburn and Monroe, they're meant to convey glamour. Sure, why not? So a big part of what I did yesterday, because I was staying at the hotel trying to, get, is part of the adjustment to the time zone. So I wanted to be awake, but still not fully processing. I was still making my way back through a rewatch of Game of Thrones in preparation for the new season. So yesterday I got up through the end of season 5 and a little bit into 6. And boy, it has been interesting, this rewatching journey, because I actually found that I remembered the earlier seasons better than I did, like 4 and 5, for example, and now going into 6. Like, if you had asked me, I probably could have still given you the highlights of what went into those later seasons. But I'm intrigued a little bit, just because I suspect the reason I remember the earlier seasons better is couplefold. One is, because I also read the books, and a lot of it is, those earlier seasons, it's a little bit more like the books and less diverging. Also, I've rewatched those seasons previously in preparation for other past seasons, and yet those factors apparently take weight over the idea of having seen the other seasons more recently. I don't know. But in any event, it's been interesting revisiting the whole saga. And of course, once Beyond the Wall comes back, which is our Game of Thrones podcast, we'll be talking about that more in detail. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.